Hello, everybody. It's Tara from Sojourn Psychology, and I'm here with Dixie Vandersluys. And she is a counseling therapist out in Wetaskiwin and Camrose. The name of her agency is Storybrook Therapy. Dixie has a really cool way of being with people and just helping us to notice our story. So I thought it'd be really interesting for us to hear from Dixie. So, Dixie, how are you seeing um, a wisdom or a way to approach what's going on right now for the world?
Yeah, what I've been noticing for myself, both as a parent with teenagers and in the work that I do, and just as an individual listening to the news and the media every day, is that our words matter. The words that we hear, the words that we say, um, and that words will shape our experience. They'll shape the story that we tell ourselves about what's going on in the world. Um, think about it like a sort of a loop that we show our perspective in our words, and then the words that we use will shape and shift our perspective. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that continual sort of feeding in to our way of seeing and being.
Yeah. And I guess to realize that the words that we use or the way we describe something will very easily become automatic. And sort of a silly example that I thought of was this past or last summer, we got a new kitten, and my daughter thought it would be great to call him Dishwasher. And we all thought it was stupid and hilarious. And we named the cat Dishwasher. And for the first few weeks, it was felt so awkward. And now after months, it's like, well, that's Dishwasher, right? And so, I mean, it's a silly example, but it just shows that our brains are wired to, the more we say something, the stronger those connections, and the deeper the connections and the more automatic things become.
Yeah, I like that. I think when I think of neural pathways, I think when we're starting to build a new neural pathway, it's kind of like this dirt road. And the more we drive
Mm-hmm.
on that dirt road, pretty soon it's like a super highway or an autobahn. So the
Yeah.
autobahn to dishwasher is kind of a fun one.
See, and I used to live in the country, and I would think of it as like neural pathways or like the ruts in the road, and the more you drive it, you can't get out of it, right? So yeah, totally two images that say the same thing of these automatic connections. So I guess I wanted people to think about, how are you describing the past 6 weeks? We hear the word crisis and pandemic on the news every day. Thinking about, how do you describe your day? Do you say, today was chaos, today was such a chore? Or do you say, well, this was a challenging day, or my kids were wild and out of control, or it was really stressful and tiring in the house today, right? Um, those convey the same day, but in very different ways. And I guess realizing that when we're in times of stress like we are now, the words that we use tend to go a little more extreme and sort of automatically. And the question is, are those words accurate? Basically, we have a rule in our house that we don't use the phrase or the words always and never, because there's always an exception. We don't. There's always an exception to things. And the more reactive you are, the more extreme your words will be, and those extreme words will then ramp up your reactivity.
Yeah, I really love that. And it's like the words that we choose prescribe the energy to the story that we're living. So the amped up language gives a tone that a softer or a more loving word would give a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
How cool. How
Yeah.
cool.
So I think stress makes our words more extreme, more absolute instead of specific. And often we aren't just reacting to that moment, but we're reacting to a whole pile of other things, maybe in our day or in our world, as opposed to being present focused. And I'm talking about this. Is my word about this, or is my word about coming from my response to all these other things.
Yeah, I like that too. And what I noticed, Dixie, is it's like when we notice ourselves using extreme absolute language, that's a bit of a self-assessment where we could connect in and see what's going on for ourselves.
It's like a little flag to say, oh, I use that word. Oh, when I use that word, it means I'm stressed out. I need to sit, I need a glass of water. Do you know what I mean? Just, it's a signal for us to assess where we're at. And as we step back and notice that, I think a very simple thing you can do is just say, okay, if I were to say that again using a different word, how could I say it? And it sort of reminds you that there's more than one way to see a situation, that when we're a little bit more thoughtful and less reactive, maybe we can be more compassionate, and that there's all sorts of different perspectives and postures that we can take. And we can do that through words. Like, it's a really easy sort of, not a trick, but it's an easy way to recognize those different postures.
Yeah, and in a way, it's a way to add value as we are mindful going forward. But it also is kind of a trick. Like, if I choose a kinder, more generous language, that's a way to like self-regulate or co-regulate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and realizing that the words that we choose, the story that we're telling ourself can increase our anxiety, or it can decrease our anxiety and our sense of agency, our sense of feeling capable to manage this task, our sense of having hope. And yeah, because the words that we use will frame the story that we tell ourselves and where we fit, either right in this moment, as we look, what does the future look like for this pandemic, and looking back. So it's past, present, future, the words that we use.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Dixie. This is really nice. So I will make sure that we link all of Dixie's information below. And then if you want to link up with Dixie and find out more about the work that she does or how you could use her as a resource in your life, feel free to connect with Dixie. So thank you so much, Dixie.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.